Hi friends, welcome back to Frosty Eye Candy. So I'm going to jump straight in and show you the dried results. I haven't had a chance to resin it yet, but let me get in close so you can get a nice view of the bloom. I modified it slightly and tried to make petals. I think it worked quite prettily. And the color palette that we're using here was the same color palette that I used for the Galaxy Pour in the Pajama Party collaboration that Nathan Linzel organised for last weekend, which was rather fantastic. There's a link in my description if you missed the collaboration where you can win 10 piggies. Some of the piggies you win are in this one actually. But there you go. How did I get to this one? And why did I get to this one? And why am I still using the same color palette? Right, well, to be honest, I still had some paint mixed up. And the other reason was I have not done a bloom with it. And I thought it might work really prettily in a bloom. So that's why we did it in the bloom here. So let me just get some light on it there. You can see, I mean, apologies for the light ring still, but get that light on it and you can see the comet turn beautiful gold. And then this light on it and the comet turns that lovely kind of violet color, which is ever so pretty. So the colors that I use, let's run through them quickly. It's TLP, one of my favorites. This is Nebula. Nebula is semi-transparent there. And it's a kind of a light charcoal when it's wet, but dries with a beautiful black and a green flash to it, which is fantastic. So that's going down first. That's the Nebula. And then the next one, it's the Constellation, this beautiful, beautiful, deep, lovely royal purple almost. And it has a gorgeous blue flash to it. And it's also semi-transparent, there you go. That's what's really giving us the nice depth in the bloom. Then we are then using one of my all-time favorites, the close second favorite, it's Comet. Interference, the gold, and then the violet. So pretty, absolutely gorgeous. I highly recommend all of the pigs, but that one is one of my definite favorites. Then we're jumping onto some tube paints, guys. And it's the Pebeo Studio Acrylics, and this is the Iridescent Violet Blue. There we go. So yeah, lovely violet color, as you can see, or light pink, and has a blue flash to it. So that's what's giving us all of those kind of dynamics in the bloom. And then to finish it off, we are using the golden, the light phthalo blue, and this one is totally opaque. So when you'll notice when I'm drizzling the colors on, the last two tube paints that I drizzle on really thinly all over the top. And that's what's helped us get this beautiful kind of definition around the cells. Let me go in nice and close there. It's beautiful. I can't wait to get a coat of resin on it and see how well it shines. So thank you for listening to me waffle on, friends. I'm going to zip it. We're going to get the camera pointing down and we're going to start to paint, okay? Hey there, friends. So it's time for the voiceover. And one of the first things I should say is that the cradle is an 8 by 10 inch cradle. And that's Sherwin-Williams Color to Go in the tricorn black. So the first beautiful color, that is the TLP Nebula. As I said in the intro, you can see as when it's wet, it's a kind of charcoal color, but dries beautifully dark with this gorgeous green flash. So as I mentioned before, these are the same colors that I used in the Pajama Party, the collaboration that I was in last week. Please look back on my videos at 78.5 and you're still in with a chance to enter the competition and win yourself 10 piggies. So this color I'm putting down, this is the beautiful Constellation, of course. It's just such a gorgeous, gorgeous purple color with this beautiful iridescent blue flash to it. So yes, these are the same colors, and I'm going to be doing a bloom with this one because I always wondered how they would come out in a bloom. And here's my number 2 favorite really from TLP. This is the delightful dual interference Comet. One way it gives you a beautiful gold flash, and then the other at a 45-degree angle gives you a beautiful violet flash. And as you can see, drizzling it on quite nicely here, getting a good cover, but not completely covering the pigments below. So now it's time for the tube paints, my friends. This one is the Pebeo Iridescent Violet Blue. And as you can see, I'm really sparingly drizzling it over, just getting a nice covering, but not completely covering the pigments or the colours below. And I do this also with the golden, the light phthalo blue, because that is actually opaque, so we want to use it very sparingly, because if we get any kind of large blots of colour of it, it can block out the colour that is below it. So you can see I'm really drizzling it on thinly, all over the top nicely, so we get those beautiful cells that are ringed with this beautiful colour. Excellent. Still just drizzling it, drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. I was really kind of envisaging what I wanted, and I got it to a certain degree, which is quite miraculous, as we know, with acrylic pouring. So just moving the paint over a little, back to the centre, and in we go with the Rustoleum Goldmine cell activator, because in the pyjama party I used Prussian blue. So here we go for the blow. Could have been a little bit better, but not the worst one in the world. And as I've mentioned before, the Goldmine as a CA, the Rustoleum Goldmine metallic accents, does take a little while to work. In we go for a nice close-up. Excuse the back of my head and the side of my face. Just giving the cell activator a couple more little blows, trying to break it up and help it sink through. So while we're waiting for that to happen, the cell activator recipe, it's the Australian Floetrol recipe, the Shelly Art recipe. If you'd like to know what Shelly Art is, it's an online acrylic pouring course that I highly recommend. I've taken the course, and many others, very successful artists, have taken it. I even have a 15% off discount code. So after you've just written the web address that's on the screen, I shall flash up the discount code now. But yes, the Shelly Art course, it's a fantastic course. I highly recommend it. So as you can see, I'm just wetting the edges of the cradle here, just to help the paint move over, because as we know, paint doesn't like really moving on bare wood. And a couple of last little blows. And we're going to do some modification. So I'd love to remind you about our show on Sundays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. That'll be 5 p.m. On the east coast of North America. Our show, The Joy of Pouring. I'm the host, and I would very much love you to join along. It's a live show, a live acrylic pouring show. And there's lots of fun to be had in the live chat with the fantastic chat moderators and admins. So that's our show, The Joy of Pouring, every Sunday, 2 p.m. PST. So when we go just with some modifications, some light ones, try to make it look a little more like a bloom, like they're petals. And I like to think I didn't do too bad a job. I'd also love to tell you about our Facebook group if you didn't know about it, the Acrylic Crazy Train. Please join us there, search us out on Facebook, the Acrylic Crazy Train. All of the moderators that you see in the live chat for our show, The Joy of Pouring, we're all moderators and admins in the Acrylic Crazy Train. So it's an acrylic safe space where you can post your work without fear of ridicule or any mean messages, and get nothing but helpful, positive and constructive comments on your pours. So that's the Acrylic Crazy Train. It's the best group around. So the last few little modifications here, and then we're going to spin the piece out. Lovely. So when we go for the wide angle shot, guys, so you can see how fast and how long I spin for. It's not too fast at all. If you have your canvas flying off your spinner, you are spinning too fast. That's why I especially leave my spins here in real time so you can see how long and how fast I spin them for. So here's a nice nice close-up from the center of the bloom. This color palette really does work beautifully, even if I say so myself. He says modestly. But yeah, the piece is expanded nicely over the canvas and it's looking great. Really quite liking these ghost cells we have, where we're seeing right the way through to the nebula that we put down first, and we get a lovely green flash through it. As I mentioned in the intro video, I can't wait to get a coat of resin on it and see how nicely these little piggies sing together as a bloom. So while we're waiting for me just to do the last little bits, I'm wetting some of the edges to make the paint flow over easier, so we get one last spin and we should get a nice result when it's dry because the paint isn't too thick. While we're waiting for me to do that, I'd love to tell you about my Facebook store. The address is in the description of this video, and all of the JOPs, most of my pieces are available, and there's pictures of them in my Facebook store. So please look in there, detailed descriptions, and that's a fantastic way for you to support me and buy a piece of my art. Wow. I know I say this every time, but wow. Sometimes they, when they don't go right, they get away from you and they go bad, but when they do go right, they go really quite well indeed. As you can see, I'm just getting the last little bits of paint on my palette knife there, just helping cover the edges of the cradle. And we're going to go in for a nice close-up. But as you can see, the Rustoleum gold mine as the CA worked beautifully, and you can remember from the beginning of the video it dried pretty well too. So here we go for a beautiful close-up. Just trying to get the lights to catch those little piggies so we can see Nebula and Constellation and Comet just making a beautiful show for us. So my friends, thank you so much for joining me for another one of my videos, the Free Lesson Wednesdays. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you like what you see here, please visit my store. But above all, happy pouring.